She said she wanted my baby in my belly, something about her, a new body because she's sick. And she said everybody in the jail knew what kind of ritual that it was, and the people in the jail wanted me to tell them that I could hear Cynthia talking to me while they were trying to do the ritual, so they could say that I told them that I was hearing voices, and then say that I was a mental patient, so I couldn't go to trial while they was in there telling me they was going to be raping my baby and all of this stuff. And Cynthia said that her and Joseph and Austin needed bodies for something, and it had something to do with this satanic cult, but coven, because they said they were witches, and they said there wasn't no such thing as Jehovah, and they tried to make me denounce Jesus Christ, or said they would kill me. And she was in some sort of beast spirit that had a whole bunch of lesions with it. And it was the souls of people that I guess also said that they would bow down and serve Satan and denounce Jesus Christ and Jehovah in some sort of oath. And then she was just saying all this stuff. They were all saying it, her and all the demons that she brought when she did the witchcraft ritual, and they was all saying that this whole time that they was all in my face trying to tell me they'll pay my rent, trying to tell me I'll buy you furniture, and then Austin was in a gang when he first got with me, and he targeted me just to get me pregnant for them, for their cult, and then he over here was beating me up this whole time that we was together, and while I was pregnant, and I didn't know that he was beating me up for this cult, something to do with some sort of child sacrifice, or and I don't even know, because I'm not in the cult. I just was the one who they was beating on, and my child, and I'm pregnant, and they over here talking about they don't know where she talking about she didn't know where that my baby wasn't there. When the coronavirus had broke out, I called to speak to my baby, and she said that my baby was not there. And I started freaking out because I had got out the jail, and they told me they were going to do all this in the jail. I spoke to my baby December 2019 around the holidays, Christmas or New Year's, and Cynthia had him, and she let me speak to him on the phone, and she was like, hold on, somebody wants to speak to you. And because I called to speak to him, I was like, yeah, I want to speak to my son. I ain't called to speak to her. And then that was my first time calling my son since they let me out the jail August 22nd, 2019, pregnant. I was in the jail 10 months, and they had tortured me, starving me, and doing these rituals on me, telling me they was going to be raping my baby and all that while I was in the jail. And they was lying about Austin beating me up when they was over there trying to kill us for a damn ritual, and I shot them, and they got mad and said that Cynthia did the ritual, and said they was putting a hit out on me because I shot a white man in America, and that they were racist, and that they were child rapists, and that they were going to rape and kill my son and give him herpes and AIDS as retaliation for me shooting Austin, when I didn't even know that they were trying to do this blood ritual on us until Cynthia came in my cell after Jim McDougal found out the evidence. Ingrid Chandler was my lawyer, and she was inside of this legion of demons of women who have been worshiping Satan too, with Cynthia and my sisters too, and several women from my family, and several women all over the United States. In each state, they have been selling out because they got these idols to let them come into their bodies. And then they started using girls like Beyonce, Cardi B, all sorts of celebrities, men, and I don't know how these people ended up letting Satan trick them into actually believing that Jesus Christ and Jehovah was not real, or that they would want to forsake the Holy Spirit for Satan's spirit. But all their spirits was right there when they were doing the ritual, and God allowed me to see all their spirits and hear what they had to say about why they was trying to murder me, because they had given me some poison and gave me some poison after Jim McDougal had interviewed the witness. They had lied on the police report, and then brought me into this place and lied on the police report, and then they started trying to continue to do did satanic death ritual on me, and I was pregnant, and they was just poisoning the trays and poisoning the water and poisoning the drinks, and I had poison seeping out my veins, and I was screaming. And then I said I didn't trust Austin with my son because after he got out of prison, and when he was in prison, I had visions of him having sex with several inmates and letting them put their penises in his mouth. And I had a vision, and his mouth was open while I was asleep, and they was all Hispanic dudes and white dudes putting all their penises inside of Austin's mouth when he was in the prison. And this was while me and my baby was in my apartment. He was taking the satanic oath, and God was showing me what they did. And then he said that that Austin had denounced him for something. It had denounced God, and then took an oath. And then the people ended up wanting Austin to, I guess, kill me or the baby as part of the gang for some initiation or something. And I don't know what's all going on with that, but I do know that they are witches and devils and pedophiles. And Austin had got home from prison. He was abusing us when my son was 3 weeks old. My son was born July. Not July. Sorry, my son was born October 28, 2016, and me and Austin had been together since October 2015, and I'm noticing that they got these winter solstices times where they like to do these blood rituals on people, and Austin was attacking me every time they would have these rituals where somebody would die. That's around the time Austin was attacking me, and he kept going to jail. But Austin got out the jail, and he had went in the he was in the closet with my son one day, and I seen my son in the closet, and Austin was in there, and he was just trying to just play with his dad because he saw pictures of him while he was in prison. But Austin, I guess, came out with a legion of fucking demons, and he kept getting drunk and throwing up, and he just would not stop drinking, and it was ridiculous. And then so my son was trying to play with him. And when he went into the closet with his dad, and I was in the kitchen washing dishes, and I never let my son out of my sight, like even for one moment. So when I seen my son leave the living room and go in the closet with his dad, I walked into the closet too, because I always watch what my son is doing. And so he went in there with his dad, and then like his head was like right by Austin's genital area, but Austin had on his basketball shorts still though, and my son had on his little basketball shorts, but it was I think he was trying to give his daddy a hug because he was that height. And Austin said something that was perverted, and he was like, "Ooh, Andrea." He was like, he put his head by my dick, and then he said that in front of my son, and my son was probably just trying to give him a hug. He was not tall or anything, but when I seen that, my son head was right there, and then like he said, he hurried up and was like, "Oh, his head was by my dick." And then I was like, "Hold on." I grabbed my son, and I was like, "Come on in here with me." And then I told him, I said, "You don't even need to be thinking like that or even talking like that around my son. You know how sometimes your children come and they like put their head on you, or they just try to, look up at you, and so him to be talking like that, I knew something was wrong." And I was like, "Why are you even talking like that? Like, why is that kind of stuff even coming to your mind?" I was like, "He is a baby. He not trying to put his head on your penis. Like, where is your mind at?" And like, I almost went off because it just seemed somewhat homosexual, and I knew what I had seen about him when he was in the prison, and he was getting drunk, and he was trying to hit on us, and then he said that, and I took my son out the closet, and after that, I was like, "Oh no," I was like, "I can't let Austin be around my son by his himself because I feel like something wrong with him. I feel like I can't trust him. I just felt like I couldn't trust him around my son, like he would do something homosexual to him. And he was just a baby, like he would molest him. And I was like, I got to get a camera in my house. I can't leave Austin with my baby. And I had always felt that way since my son was a newborn. I never would leave him. I went to the club one time, and this girl, Ashaya, tries to bring me, and she's in this satanic cult, and I didn't know until they tried to murder me in the jail, and she was going to sit there and just let me, never mind, I don't even want to say her name, but anyway, she brought me to this club, and she was finna try to get some girls to fight while I was up in there, and then they say that the Lord is saying something about some twins, and that these folk, something about some twin, they done abused my body so much, and they've been trying to steal so many babies from me, and then not know about it. They ain't been telling me the truth about my pregnancies. They ain't been telling me the truth about my ultrasounds, and God is saying that this is very serious, and what's in my belly, and my son, and the truth about his power, and the revelation of what all they done been doing to us. They trying to kill me, and I don't even know what the hell all they been doing to me and these children, and I would love for them to come clean about all the shit that they have been doing, but I just know the bulk of what I do know that they have done, and it's been horrible. And so Ashaya brought me to this club, and they were trying to fight me, and I don't know if I was still pregnant or not, because word was that I was pregnant with twins, and somebody was trying to not tell me and only let me give birth to one, and then try to sacrifice the other one, and they were trying to give me a C-section to get away with it. And then supposedly I ended up having a vaginal birth and would not let them cut me. And then they just left a baby in me and decided that they were just going to kill me and then cut the baby out and never tell nobody that I had twins. And so God was showing me my son. I seen Melbourne. I seen like a big ass little baby. I seen a big baby and a little baby, and they was twins, and it looked like they was identical, but one of them was like the big brother and one was the little brother, and then they was like identical twins. And then I was like, what the fuck? And this was when I was in the jail, and my grandma was standing there in the vision, and I went to my grandma's house, and I seen these two babies, and they was both mine, and they was twins, but one of them was older and one of them was younger. One of them looked like he was like 4 or 5, and the other one looked like he was like 2 or something. I was like, man, what the hell? And I was like, I seen visions of this little baby with autism that was identical to Melbourne, but this baby had autism. I seen visions of girls. I seen visions of all kind of babies, and they done had me for years doing this to me because my mom and dad, well, my dad for sure I know was doing stuff, and I done had surgeries to where people done took stuff out of me from this satanic cult and told me that they needed to take stuff out of me. I had people drug me first, and then I started throwing up. They take me to the hospital and then tell me I need to remove a certain organ, and now I know that they trying to steal babies and stuff, and I just feel so abused because Melbourne was the one that I gave birth to vaginally, and they took him too, and then they over here lying about this one, and they know I'm angry, and then they want to try to make it seem like I'm a terrorist for crying, and like I'm gonna commit some type of crime to somebody for crying and asking people to stop this satanic cult from abusing my body. And instead they just decide that they want to kill their victims, and then they decide they want to try to kill their victim children and get rid of bodies to cover up things that they may have done and don't want to pay for. Like they may have passed STDs to victims. They may have caused children to have mental problems or disabilities, and then they want to all sit up here and then think they want to work jobs as lawyers and judges and police officers and think that they gonna sit here and work as the nurses with all them demons and witches in their body, and then just be doing evil to everybody and then want to kill the victims that they done had. And so me and Ashaya was at the club, and people was telling me that I still had a baby in me in the neighborhood, white women, that I still had a baby in me after I had Halo, and my stomach never really did go down, but his sister had said to me on the phone, Austin's sister, after I gave birth to Austin, his sister, he told me, was a Satanist when I was finna give birth to Melby, and my stomach was so big, I was wondering if it was twins, but they told me that it wasn't, and God, they told me I only had one, but God had showed me and Austin running through the hospital of the Woodlands, and we went to we went in all their purses and took all their money out, and they was running around trying to do a C-section on me that was unnecessary at the Woodlands. But Austin ended up getting into it with me in the Woodlands Hospital, and he started knocking over all of the medical equipment, and then they said we couldn't have our baby at the hospital because they said Austin couldn't be there for the birth or whatever because he was knocking over he tried to fight me in the labor and delivery unit, and he did start getting hostile with me, and the nurses came in there and tried to calm him down, and he started knocking over the little heart monitor things for the baby and the mom, and like when you go in labor, like the little like I guess they call it triage, I don't know, but when you in the bed and they actually like checking you, yeah, they wouldn't let him come because they said he was a danger to newborn. They said they couldn't have him in the labor and delivery unit around newborns because he was too dangerous after what they seen. That's what they said. Then I ended up having my baby at Conroe Regional, and they tried to cut me, and God showed me that the Woodlands Hospital was trying to cut me in the vision, and that they didn't need to be cutting me, and they was running around trying to hide something. Well, they was trying to hide why they would wanted to cut me. I didn't know why they wanted to cut me, but God showed me something evil about John, Cynthia's friend, at the Woodlands Hospital, and my stomach was real big, and Drew came around, and everybody was looking funny, and I definitely had a whole lot of movement in my stomach, and I gave birth, and they started trying to press on my belly and tell me that I had to leave Melbourne in the hospital with them, and tried to say that I had AIDS. They said, oh, you got to leave your baby in the hospital with us. They said because you gave your baby a stomach virus. I said, what? I said, I don't have no viruses. I said, I got tested at the Woodlands Hospital, and I don't have no viruses. I said, you can contact my doctor at the Woodlands, and he'll send you my medical records. And then we gave him his information. And so when I was going into labor, they didn't want to give me they didn't want to let me have my baby in the hospital. And they kept telling me, oh, try to go back to the Woodlands, please, and then giving me like little shots